Welcome back to How Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. Anime review episode number 12. Yes, we're on the Pentulum episode of season 1 of How Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. This episode is called Do Not Completely Siege the Enemy. Yeah, that's kind of the name of the episode. As far as I can tell. Let me just make sure it is. It is when you surround an army, leave an outlet free. That's the name of the episode. Now, I was looking up, it took me a little while to basically figure out exactly what was adapted from the actual books themselves. Now, it does adapt pretty much the entirety of chapter number 9. That's the whole thing. With the exception of a couple pieces of dialogue, it does a really good job with this chapter. Like, they keep, everything in. And they actually throw in something from chapter 1 that happens just after this. Yes. Where they actually also adapt, in this episode, they adapt portions of chapter 3. Not chapter 3, first chapter of book 3 of the series. Yes, I'm not really sure why they did this for. It's like, they kept, in the case of the epilogue, I'd say they did most of it. I'd say they adapted roughly 50% of it because the first half of this epilogue was not adapted. Yeah, this was probably cut due to time constraints. Because, okay, first episode starts off with basically still having we pick up where last week left off, where Van has been captured by the actual by the Freedian army. Now, here's the thing: in the episode, they actually do not show what happens in the actual book itself. They cut this out for some reason. Yes, because in the book, they actually do show the actual battle when the Freedian army takes the city of Van. Here, it's already taken. I'm not really sure why they didn't show this. They just didn't. So, apparently, this battle is going on for quite a while, and we see also that Lucia and Ishi are on the battlefield. In the actual episode, there's no explanation of, hey, they're just miraculously here. Of course, they cut this out of the actual book where Lucia volunteered to basically see the final battle through herself, and I should be appointed as a bodyguard. This is probably one of the many minor things from Chapter 9 that was cut due to time constraints, but the epilogue, oh boy, 50% of that thing was cut for, no reason. So, we have a pretty interesting battle. We see that Hal and Kaede get a chance to actually get their stuff in. Hal throwing spears where they're covered with fire. Kaede using her earth magic to take out some of the troops, which is really good. This is a well choreographed in the anime of this particular battle. And then Prince Gallus sees the battle's not going very well. He says, okay, he declares battle lost. So he tells his son, Julius. Now, they actually added a little bit of dialogue here for this because this actually was not in the original book itself because I checked it from the translation I have for it. Because he mentions if Julius falls, there's no one left for the royal family. And he points out, though, what about Roronoa, his sister? And he points out, though, Roronoa has no interest in the royal family despite the fact she is, in fact, his only daughter. It is something that they added this particularly in the anime, because here's the weird thing about this. That any interaction Roronoa had with her father that is shown in the book is never shown in the anime. Nope, never is. I mean, they acknowledge the fact that she is, in fact, his daughter, because in the dub, they actually acknowledge this in the very first episode. They acknowledge her as the princess of this country, while in the sub, they don't really identify her as the princess. And I think in the case of when the dub did that, in my opinion, that was a really smart move of Funimation, because even they realized, though, that someone must either read information about these characters, or two, they probably read the books, per se, which I'll get updated at the very end of this video where I'm at for the books. So, and they actually added something else in here where we have the prince basically being stabbed by a spear, and it turns out this is actually not Prince Gallus. Nope, it's a body double. And I looked this up. This actually is anime original because this did not happen in the book at all. Because basically they later had where he's take out some soldiers, and then he is being attacked by, well, Carla, which this does happen in the book. They actually do cut the portion here of her mentioning that she's the daughter of Castor, one of the people who actually wanted two dukes who rebelled against Sosotama, which they cut that out from the anime. I'm not really sure why they cut this out for. And here's something though. Here's the thing. In the episode, they do show him be attacked by one of those dolls that one of those life-size dolls that Sotama created. Yep. Yeah, he actually attacks them. Well, that he attacks, well, them per se. Mm-hmm. Yep. I believe they also adapt. There's also a small portion here before I continue, where, get this, where there's a thing where they mentioned before this battle takes place that there was some adventurers, the same adventurers from a few episodes back, where they're just basically just doing some adventure, and here's some by sheer coincidence, where the lead of the party looks like Sotama. They have a blonde hair guy that looks like Ludwig. He actually is in the episode, which he does identify himself like in the actual book itself. In the episode, there's really no reason for him to do it. In the book, there is a reason because he's asked about who his name is. And of course, there's these flame monsters, and of course, they also take out these soldiers from the principality. But back to the battle itself. Now, in the actual book itself, he was attacked by two of the Domestico dolls. In the anime, they reduce it to one. I'm not really. This is another thing I thought was really kind of weird. They cut this out. My guess is if they had to, it'd be overkill, and the explosion would not be believable if both these things exploded on him. Because if they did, this would mean that he is practically dead. Yep. So Carla lights up one of them, and then of course he's taken out by a bunch of arrows, which in the book this kind of does happen, and he dies, and he does give a speech like right after he passes away, where he's seen the valor of Prince Gallus and gives him a lot of respect, and he remember from time to come. Now what happens afterwards is that in the book they actually show him actually going to his actual corpse. In the anime, they don't show this at all. This is one of the many other things that's cut here. And then we get to stuff from the epilogue, where they're actually inside the actual palace. Now here's the thing. What they cut out from the epilogue was, first it was a scene between Hakuryu and Tome, which Hakuryu was mentioned in the episode, is not physically make an appearance here. And they also cut out him entering the castle, which that would have been kind of interesting to see in the anime, him entering the actual enemy's, home. That would be interesting to see. Nope. We cut that from I guess they cut from the anime for some strange reason. I don't know why. So, they go in, they basically have the characters kneeling down, and they mention, the reports, we have House, Father give a report, we also have Ponch report too. Mention about how you bring some food over, protection, no problem at all. Now, they do mention here about something called Project Lorelei, which that's actually from the first chapter of Book 3. Not really sure why they included this here. They just did for some reason. I don't know why. And then here comes, right after that, we have Juna comes in her Navy uniform. What's the comments about about her outfit, her looking very pretty in that outfit? That actually is from the book. They actually did not change this, which I was very appreciative of that, because, yeah, it's good dialogue. Why cut it for? And then cut to the very next day, where we have the dual broadcast isn't just magically set up here. The first chapter, book 3, they cut a lot out of this book, this chapter. Like, I was reading this, like, I was surprised at how much they cut. They practically cut about 50% of this chapter. Because then we have this thing set up, and then we have the broadcast of the news broadcasting of News of Freya, which this is actually from the book. They keep all this portion in. They cut out Julius trying to get to stop this particular broadcast. Yeah, they cut that out from the anime, which, in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. That thing does not need to be seen. Oh, the anchor woman, her name is Chris Tanyan. And I believe this is actually her first appearance. Yes, this is actually her anime debut, which is interesting to say the least. That she appears for this scene and then she just disappears like as soon as he wraps up the news stuff, which, yes, it was kind of quick in the book too. But there was other stuff going on here, like other broadcasts. And then, of course, before the broadcast started, we do see Sotoma and Aisha wearing like a dress, like her wearing a dress and him wearing a suit. Now, in the book itself, there's of course the colorized version of this, where it looks like someone made actual microphones for Sotoma and Aisha to use. In the anime, they're carved out of wood. Not really sure why this necessarily had to be changed. I mean, the people who actually made this, who worked in this episode, did they bother to read the book? Did they not know what the heck these microphones even freaking look like? Excuse me. Like, I would say they could be also they forgot to paint them. It could be they were painted, but why the heck would you make them freaking blank for? It looked like they're holding 2 sticks in their hands. Which that's basically how people would describe microphones, like sticks per se, or someone would say they're good in the stick. That's the expression I heard who's good at using microphones. Now, excuse me, in the book itself, they actually have the introduction to the first Lorelei, the first singer they have here, a bit earlier, which they cut her introduction out here, because here in the anime, here she is. They mentioned she's a young girl. She likes eating sweets, but she doesn't eat too much because of her weight. She sings a song, which is really good. Then afterwards, we have Juna singing a song, which is great. Excuse me. And then, like, right afterwards, we have Aisha being told by Sotoma, be on guard because we actually have a lieutenant general coming in. A female lieutenant general. Now, in the case, the first two, they do kind of explain the reason they've been being there. In the case, this female big muscular woman. Yeah, here's something really weird about this. They actually cut out the reason why she's here, because this feels completely random at best. We have one of the generals from the enemy army singing the national anthem, which, here's the thing. I believe that's what she sings in the book, because I think that's the name of the song. And Sotoma's line to her at the end of the episode is from the book itself, where she thought that she might be executed due to sing the national anthem of her home country. And according to Sotoma, you can sing whatever the heck you want. We have no laws that you can't sing national anthem in our country, even though you sing it in your own country. Yeah, there's no law against that. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm glad the fact they kept that in, but it is shocking to see. Like, if you have a chance to read these light novels, like the first one did a great job with it. I would say the only thing major they cut with that one was just the stuff about garbage disposal, which that probably wasn't necessary. That's perfectly fine. Book 2, I think it did a pretty decent job. And yes, they cut some portions out. They could probably include these in like a director's cut. But it wasn't like something that really like hurt the actual book itself, hurt the episode itself by cutting this out. I mean, it's like little bits here and there. This episode felt like cut like huge chunks out for like no reason. This is basically the only thing I don't like about this episode is that it just seems as though some stuff basically characters are introduced completely random. There's no explanation for this stuff. It just shows up like, oh, we have a lieutenant general who is a muscular, who looks like a freaking bodybuilder, and the way the anime designed her is kind of weird because there's no image of her in the book. The way she looks, she kind of reminds me of Bruno from Dark Knight Returns. I mean, she's practically this. The head is exactly the same muscle-bound woman, except she's basically wearing a shirt and not having shirtless, having swastikas on her breast. Yeah. Also, this woman's much taller than Bruno from Dark Knight Returns. It's just that when I saw her, like, Bruno, what do you? I was thinking back in my head, like, what are you doing here, Bruno? And this actually is a character from the book. This is not an original character. Like what she sings here, still from the book, except they cut out the explanation of why she was here, because in the book it was explained she was actually under house arrest. When she heard about the broadcast about the musical program, she jumped at the chance to participate in it because she wanted to show off how good of a singer she is. Which, okay, that would have been interesting if you included in the episode. I think that particular thing was cutting that was kind of a mistake, but we only have one episode left. And who knows what they're going to do for next week? I don't know. If I were the studio who made this episode, I would put in the stuff they cut off from this episode because there's a lot of material they cut here. They could probably continue where we left off this episode here, but throw in some stuff they cut out here. They can intersplice basically other stuff they cut out here for like no apparent reason. Either that, or we could do like an OVA of stuff they cut out. That's possible. That or a director's cut. Yeah. So yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. Stay tuned tomorrow because I have no other time to do any more videos because it's getting kind of late and I really want to do this video tonight before I go to bed because I got to work tomorrow. So tomorrow I expect to see reviews for, hopefully for, the final episode of Season 1 of Case at Advantage. Yeah, it's the final episode for it. My Hero Academia, One Piece, Case Closed, and Bar. So roughly 5 more left. Okay, next video. Bye.